Welcome back to Educate, Agitate, Organize, where we walk through Dr. Ambedkar's Annihilation of Caste, one idea at a time. Last time we reached the line no gentle reformer would cross. The real target was never people's manners. It was the authority of the scriptures themselves. And that single conviction set him against the most revered man in India. Here is the moment. The speech that was too dangerous to deliver was printed anyway. And it traveled across the country. Then Gandhi himself, the living saint, the very face of the nation's conscience, picked up his pen and replied to it in his newspaper. And Ambedkar, instead of bowing, printed back a sharp, point-by-point answer he titled simply, A Reply to the Mahatma. Now, here is the thing most people never expect. This was not a quarrel between Ambedkar and caste's defenders. Gandhi was not a defender of caste. He hated untouchability. He called it a crime, a stain on Hinduism, and he spent his life fighting it. So the most important argument over caste in all of Indian history was not between Ambedkar and his enemies. It was between Ambedkar and caste's most famous opponent. Two men who wanted the very same thing, dignity for the untouchable, and who split, bitterly, over the cure. Be fair to Gandhi first, because Ambedkar was. Gandhi's position was gentle and sincere. He defended not the ugly caste of the streets, but an idealized, purified Varna order, ranked by duty and service, not by birth. And he made an argument that sounds, at first, wise and generous. Do not judge a whole religion, he said, by its worst followers. Judge it by its best. And Gandhi had names ready. Hinduism, he said, produced Chaitanya, Tukaram, Ramkrishna, great saints, luminous souls. A faith that grows such people cannot be rotten at the core. Ambedkar quotes the challenge back faithfully, that a religion has to be judged not by its worst specimens, but by the best it might have produced. And then he does something disarming. He agrees. Listen to his own words. I agree with every word of this statement. But I do not quite understand what the Mahatma wishes to prove thereby. That is the move. He concedes the principle, and then shows it proves nothing. Yes, judge a religion by its best. But, he asks, why are the best so few, and the worst so many? Why does this faith of luminous saints leave millions crushed at the bottom? There are only two answers, he says, and he forces the choice. Either the great mass of followers are simply incapable of the ideal, or the ideal itself is wrong. An impossible ideal that breaks against the practical instincts of ordinary people. And he will not let Gandhi escape between them. If the best are so few, then the argument that a religion should be judged by its best carries us nowhere, except to pity the lot of the many who have gone wrong, because they have been made to worship wrong ideals. Then comes the cut that no one forgets. You hold up the saints, Ambedkar says. Fine. But take the very best living specimen of your ideal. Take you, Mahatma. And he points, without cruelty, to Gandhi's own household. Gandhi's son, born by the rules into one Varna, married across it, and chose a calling that was not his ancestral trade. And the Mahatma never condemned him for it. The conclusion is quiet and final. If even the Mahatma, the best of all, cannot live the ideal, then the ideal must be an impossible ideal, quite opposed to the practical instincts of man. And here is the deepest blade. You cannot keep the ladder and object only to its lowest rung. Untouchability is not an accident clinging to the side of Hinduism. It is the floor the whole staircase stands on. Take away the people at the very bottom, the ones declared too polluting to touch, and the entire ranking above them loses its foundation. So religion can, and must, be judged by how it treats its lowest. That is not its worst specimen. That is its design. And one more thing. Because Gandhi had pleaded that the masses are good at heart and only need awakening, Ambedkar answers that ordinary people do not invent their cruelty. They follow what their holiest men call holy. They look up. When a figure as revered as the Mahatma himself defends an idealized Varna, the man on the street hears permission. You cannot ask the people to drop a belief while the saints keep blessing it. Step back and feel the size of this. Both giants of the freedom movement wanted the untouchable lifted up. But Gandhi trusted a change of heart from within Hinduism. That if Hindus simply became better, kinder, more awake, the cruelty would melt. Ambedkar, who had lived caste from the very bottom, who had been refused water as a child, knew that hearts are not enough against a system people believe their God ordained. You do not argue a man out of what he thinks is sacred. You have to break the sanctity itself. And there is the tragedy of it. The two greatest men of the age could not agree on this. And India largely followed the gentler path. Gandhi's path. The change of heart. Which is part of why, all these decades later, caste is still with us. Even on the question of what this faith once was, Ambedkar refused comfort. He wrote, "Whether the Hindu religion was or was not a missionary religion has been a controversial issue. That the Hindu religion was once a missionary religion must be admitted. A faith that once reached out to bring strangers in had become a sealed fortress, no longer opening its doors, only guarding its ranks. So if the cure is not a softer heart, and you cannot fix the disease from inside the religion that carries it, then a hard question is left waiting. What is the only move left to a man who refuses to keep standing on the lowest rung?" That is where we go next time. In Chapter 6, I Will Not Die a Hindu. Everything you have heard today is Dr. Ambedkar's own argument, drawn from his reply to the Mahatma in Annihilation of Caste, the first volume of his writings and speeches. The telling is ours. The argument, and those words, are his.